this lady is gonna be.
Okay, you're live.
Okay.
Running the meeting.
Go.
You.
Okay, you want to hit that minutes? When it starts. All right, we are here for the Planning Commission meeting, March 3rd, 7 o'clock. And we'll do the roll call.
Okay. Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Ms. Capel. Mr. McDade. Ms. McNatt. Ms. Mumford. Here. Mr. Norton.
Here.
Mr. O'Connell.
Here.
Ms. Ray.
Here.
And Ms. Stubblefield. All right, you have 5. You have exactly a quorum.
We did. Perfect, so we'll go ahead and approve our minutes from February 3rd. Are there any changes or comments or anything? No?
Just want to do by acclamation.
Yep, perfect.
Anybody opposed?
No.
Okay.
And
Citizen.
citizen comments. Do we have any comments for tonight?
I see some comical people out there.
A lot of us here.
Okay, so no comments for tonight. And then, I think we discussed that we were going to move the affordable housing workforce vote recommendations to another meeting for when we have, better attendance on commissioners and everything. So everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And then our new business is rezoning request from 112 West Ashley Avenue. Owners are requesting a zoning change from residential 2-family to island commercial.
We're gonna let him go first. And
Okay.
This is their representative. I'm gonna
Okay.
turn this microphone on. So, you're up.
Good evening. For those who don't know me, my name is Keith Bolus. I'm a lawyer. I'm also a resident of Folly Beach, and I represent Irene Bridges. She's here. And she owns a property at 112 West Ashley, which is less than a half a block that way. When Miss Bridges first came to me, I said, you don't even need a lawyer, because this is already zoned commercial. Because the whole block, I thought, was commercial, island commercial property. I called Ms. Stevens and she corrected me and said, well, that's not the case, which surprised me, because I thought this whole block was, and obviously this is not. 112 West Ashley, though, is unique in that it is not zoned commercial. It's more of a donut hole, what I say. If you're familiar with it, it's the duplex that it's right next door to Folly Inn. And on the other side, if you're looking West Ashley to the complex, it's a duplex. This side is the hotel, Folly Inn. On the other side is a plumbing business. I did not know that either, because it looks like a residential house, which it is, but it is zoned commercial. I didn't know that either until I was informed by the city that that was the case. I walk by there every morning, and if you go by there before 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to see 10 to 15 plumbing trucks in that backyard. I don't know, it's not a retail business, but it's just some kind of business. They send their trucks out, and it's a parking lot for plumbing trucks. On the front of her house, or the duplex, on the left side of West Ashley, there are about, I would say, 90 condos. On the corner of 2nd Street is the bar. Go down the other way to Center Street, which is merely a half block away, there's another bar and more businesses. On the other side of the plumbing business is solar shelters. And that is, I guess, the extreme form of housing. Behind the house is, I think those are short-term rentals property, but I'm not quite sure. We sent out, of course by the statute, I think the city sent out notices to all the property owners within 150 feet of this property, and it would include all the condos. I'm unaware if there was any responses expressing one opinion or the other.
We got the one email from one of the commissioners that I emailed you this morning.
Okay, yeah, and I saw that, and I'll address that issue too. She's not here, but she has an opinion. My client, obviously she is elderly, her husband, I believe, is with her, and they have some medical issues, and obviously they're trying to sell the property, and they've been informed that it may get more money, and that's what it is, trying to maximize the property value if it's zoned differently. On a commercial right now, I think it's 2 residential zoning, which means you can have 2 buildings on it, 2 residential buildings. And sort of the island, the donut in this sea of businesses and condos. And that's what we're trying to do. This is not really expanding the business. It's not expanding it. It's not going further down the 2nd Street or that way or the other way. It's really filling in the hole is what you're doing. You're not expanding this at all. And you're trying to fill a need, it could be a need, of a business opportunity. And I believe in Ms. Stevens' recommendation to the council, it says there's no demonstrated need of an office. Well, I looked, and the office vacancy rate on Folly Beach is 0. If you're trying to open up a business, you're not going to find an office to rent. I know that from personal experience. I used to have an office here, below the Shark, everybody knew it. Had it for 20 years, and then, lost the lease. The new owners wanted more money, and they tried to convert it to a short-term rental. Didn't work out, now there's another office there. Well, I tried for probably a good year to try to find something that was affordable business, and I couldn't do it. There are no places. There are no places for an office to rent that I'm aware of. I think Ms. Stevens mentioned there are other properties that could be used for this property, could potentially used for business purposes. One is the vacant lot that used to be Fred Holland. Well, that's a vacant lot, and it's not for sale. At least it wasn't for sale now. And then there's the old surf shop, to the surf club. That's available. It's not for sale, but it's there. That's 2. That's 2, and those are offices. This building could be converted. If someone, an investor, could be converted to an office. I think if y'all allow this change, it's going to actually fit in to the design of the block that it's in. It really is. I mean, if you look at it, and you got to ask yourself personally, would you want to live there? Would y'all want to live at this residence? Would you spend $1 million to build your house there, to build your dream home there? Well, the answer is probably not. Why? Because of the location it's in. I mean, you're right next to a hotel, you're right next to a plumbing business. Across the street, you can't see the ocean because there's 100 condos, 4 stories high, and behind you some short-term rentals. You're not going to spend that money, I don't believe, to rent that, to own that. The city has kind of restricted the use of this property. And of course, everybody knows short-term rentals is prohibited. You're not going to get one. There's 800 slots, and there's probably 1,000 people having. Good luck trying to get a slot. But if we had short-term rental property allowable, then that would be a good fit for this. But we can't do that no more. So the city has curtailed the use of this property. What's another market force value to this is what we'd like to ask. And that's island commercial. I think there's been some talk about affordable housing. That's the new thing here at the city, is trying to get affordable housing. Well, and I think this is one of the objections to Ms. Phillips, is we need affordable housing. That's what affordable housing looks like, okay? And there's pictures of it. It's a duplex. It's an old duplex. I don't think there's been much work put into it. Why? Because you can't get a whole lot of rent for it. If you can't get a lot of rent for it, you're not gonna update it. That's what affordable housing looks like. I grew up in Folly Beach. I've been a full-time resident here for a long, long time. And man, when I was out of college, short-term rental, not short-term rental, but I got a place on the beach. It was a dump, okay? But I could afford it. But I wouldn't want to live there. I got older, got married, want to have kids. I'm not going to live there. I'm not going to live in affordable housing, something like that, and we got a house, okay? This property doesn't do that. I'd like to comment on some of the recommendations by the not planning commission, but by Stevens. I think the city takes I don't know if there's a time limit on it.
No, because this isn't citizen comment, so there's not a time limit.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Go ahead.
I think the city takes the position, at least with the staff, is we're just not going to allow any rezoning. I think that's the position that the city takes, at least the staff at the staff level. Well, that's not what the zoning is for. If you're going to take that approach, then you say we're just not going to change anything. We're just not going to do it. And I think the city had made up its mind before they even looked into it that we're not going to recommend that this be changed. We're just not going to do it, for whatever reasons they have. On their report, I believe that's been provided to you, she says, whether the proposed amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan. I believe it is. I mean, the comprehensive plan is to encourage, it was not discourage, the businesses, especially in this type of an area where there's already businesses allowed. This is not like asking for, rezoning on 8th Street. I want to open up something there. No, this is connected. It's not too far from Center Street. It fits in the comprehensive plan. The applicant says there's no evidence of change in conditions to warrant this amendment. There's not been any significant expansion of commercial uses near this property. Well, you can't expand. There's nowhere to expand. I mean, they're saying since we've never allowed expansion, and it's never happened before, we're not going to allow it now because it hasn't happened in the past. Well, that's just kind of a circular argument that since it's never happened before, we're not going to approve it again. That's on her recommendation number 2. Does it address a community need? This is number 3. What she says is a market, office space is a market function. Well, how do you just demonstrate a community need unless you put it on the market? I can tell you, if you all allow this change in the market, it's going to determine whether there's a need for this. And that's what I think we should let happen, let the market decide, instead of the government decide what's best for this property in consideration of where the property is located at, which is right smack dab in the middle of businesses. On 4, she says whether it's compatible with existing proposed use surrounding the land. Well, the answer to that is yes, it is compatible. She says right here is the purpose of the plan is to contemplate commercial uses near Center Street, not to expand uses into residential zoning district. Well, we're not expanding into residential zoning. We're not expanding, we're filling in the donut hole. It's already a business. It's already a business there, so we're not really expanding it. Her recommendation number 6, to which the proposed amendment would encourage premature development. I'm not sure what she means by that. It says commercial property on Folly Beach is not built out to the highest and best uses. I think that's a conclusion based on the city. And again, I would say that that's not the case at all. If you allow people to expand and use the highest and best use, it would happen. The city has already forestalled the best use of that property, and the best use of that property would allow short-term rentals, which is obviously not before you, would be the best use of it. That's not gonna happen, so what's the next best use of it? Next best use is to make it compatible with the surrounding area that it's in. Whether, number 7, whether the extent of the proposed amendment will result in undesirable strip or ribbon commercial development. I don't think that applies here at all. I mean, we're not building Walmart there. You know, whoever would buy it's not a lot's too small. It's not a strip joint. It's not commercial development. 8, number 8 is a key thing, and that she states, whether the extent of the proposed amendment will result in creation of an inappropriately isolated zoning district unrelated to adjacent surrounding zoning district. And that's key. The answer is no. It would not. And that's a key thing. It's not. It's not creating the hole. It's filling in the hole. So that's a key thing. I think the city does admit it. It's related. What we like to do is related to the other businesses that it's in. Number 9 would result in significant, whether the proposed amendment would result in significant adverse impact on the property values of surrounding lands. Well, again, the answer is no. It would not. It may increase it. Maybe the Folly AM would like to buy it. Maybe they could use it for their businesses. I think it would actually increase it. It's definitely not going to impact it negatively in any of the property, especially the plumbing business, or the hotel, or the 90 condos that's across the street. Obviously, number 10, there's no adverse natural impact on the natural environment. Number 11, whether it result in, could it be served by public facilities, roads, potable water? Well, obviously it is. Sewage, not a problem. The sewage right across the street. I know the city allows other houses to be connected to the city if the sewer line's right there, so that's not a big problem either. I mean, the sewer's there. If y'all want to let any other owner expand on it. She comes to the conclusion, I don't know what this means, but like wise in court, if the restaurant operated there, a grease trap would be required. I mean, I don't know how that negatively affects the zoning or not. She summarizes, if you allow this, it's going to decrease the commercial footprint of the city, and that's not true. It's not increasing it at all. It's filling it in. Again, it's filling it in. It's not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, which is actually to encourage this type of development in the proper context of the district it resides in. And this is another conclusion that says this would not bring any benefit to the residents of the city of Folly Beach. I don't know how you come to that conclusion. There's no data supporting that. It's just their opinion. It's not what we want, and therefore it's not going to be a benefit. Again, let the market decide whether it's going to be a benefit or not. And I think it would be, because right now it's of a limited benefit to what it's doing. The place has grown around it, and I think the city allowed that. The city is the one that granted the property next to her property to be a plumbing business. The city did that.
Excuse me, sir. It's a heating and air conditioning business.
The city allowed that to happen. It's really, the city has kind of depressed the value of this property, and all we're asking is give us a chance to maybe give the property what it could be worth and what it could be utilized for, other than what it's being done now. Now, somebody may want to buy it and keep it like that. I don't know. But I think what we're asking for fits into the city plan. It's filling in a donut hole. If you look at the pictures, You can see the property next to her, the heating and air place. I mean, it's a parking lot, it's a storage facility, it's whatever. And more importantly, there's not been one citizen that has expressed an opinion negatively against this. So what I asked y'all to approve that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we discuss.
I need, you'll look over my staff report.
Okay, yeah, perfect, thank you.
You all received this beforehand, my staff report, but I'm just gonna go through it real quick, each number, and then answer any questions if you have any questions also. So the 11 criteria here are taken from our city code about, how a request to rezone should be evaluated. Number one, we talk about the comprehensive plan. After my staff report, you have this map right here, which has been in every comprehensive plan that we have adopted as a city since the 90s. Every 5 years that gets updated. And you can't tell it if you've got a magnifying glass, but this property is residential and has been as long as we've had a comprehensive plan. And in 2022, the city did rezone some commercial properties on this side of the island. They were island commercial, the block between Second and Third, and downzoned them to residential to show this history of concentrating the commercial uses closer, as concentrated as they can be on Center Street. Number two, whether there's been a change. I don't think there's been a change. We haven't heard evidence of a change. The owners have said that they would like to sell, they'd like to sell the property for more money, and that's why they're asking for this rezoning. Number three, a demonstrated community need. I would like to point out that even if this were rezoned to island commercial, office space would not necessarily be built here. There are still a lot of uses that would come into play for island, or that would be available that somebody, the next owner, could put into island commercial. Number four, compatible with existing uses. This is where I kind of explained zoning is a perspective discipline, right? We're looking at the future. We're looking at, after all of us in this room are gone, what is this island gonna look like? And so, yes, there are commercial properties beside it now, but the idea is that when they are no longer commercial, that is a residential zoning district, and that will continue into the future for the people who buy after that. Number four, whether this is a logical and orderly development pattern. I just would point you back to the map and the comprehensive plan that we've had. Every 5 years, the city reevaluates the zoning needs of the city, and we've never expanded that residential boundary. Whether it would encourage premature development. This is where I mentioned that there are vacant commercial lots right now. The Surf Bar, Fred Holland. Number seven, whether this would result in undesirable strip or ribbon commercial development. If you're increasing from residential to any kind of commercial, that does allow for more density, bigger buildings, more traffic. Number eight, we agree that this would not create an isolated zoning district. Number nine is the adverse impacts to the surrounding land. So you also got in your packet, I want to point out the table of uses, and I highlighted the difference between residential and island commercial. And so you can see which uses would be, now if this were granted to island commercial, what would be allowed. And there could be a 10-bedroom inn, a restaurant or a bar, commercial parking lot, and even a chain hotel. I know that there's a lot of talk about formula businesses on the island. We do not allow any formula business on Center Street, but in island commercial, you can have a formula tourist accommodation, which is a hotel. And then also, right now, this lot could not be subdivided. They could put two houses on it, because it is residential two-family, but it would have to be owned still by the same person. If it became island commercial, then this, because of the size, would be allowed to be split up, and you could have two different owners of two different properties.
Were those supposed to be business properties?
Commercial.
Commercial properties?
This would not significantly impact the natural environment. And 11, which was public facilities, the sewer is gonna be the big thing. If there were a restaurant or anything else there, there would have to be tied into the sewer, and that's something that that's not before you today, that's something that city council would have to approve. And I'd also like to mention one thing I didn't put in here, that currently there are 2 long-term rental licenses on this property. So if this were rezoned to island commercial and a business did buy it and become whatever business is allowed, you are reducing the availability of long-term rentals as they exist right now. I looked back, I tried to find some other examples of applications for people who have requested to rezone, and I was only able to find one in 2016, and that's 114 East Indian, that's across from the post office on the riverside, and they requested to rezone from the same thing here, residential two-family to commercial, and they were denied. So that's the only precedence that I could find. So for those reasons, staff is asking you to vote to deny this rezoning.
Could you go back to number 9
Yes.
and something about formula hotels would be allowed? What's your definition, what's the definition of a formula hotel?
A chain.
Chain.
So we don't allow any chain restaurants or anything on Center Street. And in island commercial, the only chain business that would be allowed is a hotel. So you still couldn't have a chain restaurant, but you could have a chain hotel. Anybody else got questions?
So,
Could I have a few minutes, a couple minutes to respond?
sure,
If you don't mind?
Yeah.
Thank you.
a couple of minutes.
I'm unaware that the comprehensive plan is designed to shrink the island commercial district. I'm unaware of that, but certainly that's what's been stated here. The city wants to shrink the island commercial. Well, that's not in the plan. I mean, it has a definite plan of the purpose of what the island commercial is. She also says that, if these buildings that are behind or beside this property were sold, then the city would maybe not grant the zoning or change the zoning. Well, I don't think that's true either, because the Folly Inn was recently sold and the zoning wasn't changed at all. I mean, what you got right there is a hotel anyway. And somehow we say, well, we don't need another hotel there. Well, I don't know if the property's big enough for that anyway. And that's like a bad thing, not necessarily a bad thing if it's small and done right. And I'm not saying I could go there. But somehow we have a negative opinion of anything like what's there now. It shouldn't be gone. And somehow there's a negative connotation of, it's a chain hotel. Maybe a small 10-bedroom bed and breakfast chain hotel. I'm not sure what chain hotels could possibly fit there. But again, the comprehensive plan for island community does not prohibit that. And it's already allowed that in this district. Again, we're not expanding it, we're just trying to fill in the hole, and that's all there is to it. Long-term or short-term rentals, not short-term rentals, but affordable living, that is not the position of the city that I'm aware of. I know you all are discussing that and formulating what kind of plan for that. The city council has not voted on that, so I believe that would be improper grounds to deny, at least deny the application based on that aspect when that policy has not been adopted by the city.
Thank you.
Can I ask, do you know currently how long the 2 tenants that are there have been there?
One's been there about 2 years, and the other one is a single dude that is the bartender up there at, what is it called, the washout?
Drop-in,
Okay.
at the drop-in.
Oh, but, they have been notified supposedly by Holland Realty that their leases could be up anytime within the next year.
Do you
Ms.
know,
Bridges.
do you know how long the single dude has been there?
Pardon me?
Do you know how long the single dude has been living there?
Oh, the little Mr. Allberger, I think he has been there maybe a year and a half or 2 years.
And so he works out here on Folly. Do we
Yeah,
know where
he's
the
a
other,
bartender right down the street.
do we know where the other tenant, or they work on Folly?
The husband, no, they don't work on Folly. The husband was working for Boeing, but, his status there is getting kind of shaky with what's going on with Boeing. But, they just, it's just a man, a woman, and one kid that lives in that side.
So family, okay.
Now, Ms. Bridges has been probably pretty generous in the rent, the rent is low, but it can't sustain the building. If you look at the pictures, I mean, it's not, I guess you get what you pay for. But she's been very lenient, on the rent. The building is paid for, that's why she can do that, obviously. The building will be sold, no question about that, and the rent's not gonna stay that way. So if you're saying, well, let's make it affordable living, affordable housing, but that's just not gonna happen.
Okay,
on
perfect,
this
thank you.
property. No matter when it is sold, and it will be sold, obviously if you're paying $1 million for this property, you can't get $1,500 per unit,
Yeah.
because that didn't cover the interest payment.
Yep, we got it.
Sir, did you want to comment?
I'm just saying, I am
It's
one of the
not time
tenants.
for that.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I spoke out of turn.
Mr.
Sorry.
Reynolds.
That's everything from the audience, so it's your turn now.
So, well, and if it's important, if somebody did want to speak, we kind of passed through citizen comments already. But, I mean, if you are here you're here to speak on this issue,
I just wanna say, we've been there for 10 years, not to,
you're a tenant?
yes.
You live there?
Yes.
Okay, are you the bartender or are you the?
No, I'm the, apparently shaky at Boeing.
Did you know?
But, no, we've been there for 10 years, I just wanted to make sure that it's clear that's what the
Okay.
case is. They do have a 3-year-old. There has been a very lack of communication between owner and Fred Halty.
Excuse me.
Okay, all right, well,
Fred,
wait,
that's not
no,
good.
all right.
Okay,
I don't need.
We're,
Yeah.
it's time for
Okay,
the
so we're-
board to discuss.
Yeah,
now.
we're done. Okay, that
Okay.
was good to know that you're here, that you live there, and that is probably, that's the only thing we're here to discuss is right now.
I just here to listen.
All that other stuff is later. Yeah, so, okay, so I think now we can open the floor to discuss it among ourselves. And anybody want to start? What you think?
Thank you.
I think we need to vote on it.
Well, okay, so anybody have any questions for Jenna or need further explanation from Jenna on anything
It's
at all?
pretty cut and dry.
Okay, I think,
I think that you saying that it's island commercial, I mean, that opens up for, as you listed on this chart here, anything, not just an office, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
So,
Anything that had a P in that column would be a permitted use.
Okay, yep.
so Jenna, I have two kind of questions, and the first one is, like, if you look at this picture here, and there are the two properties that are closer to West Second Street, so they go past the Holiday Inn. You know, those are currently right now, residential 2-family.
Correct.
They're currently that. And then you move, and then you've got the Holiday Inn, which, yes, it was sold a little bit ago, but I wonder if the reason why it was able to stay what it is because it didn't change use.
Right.
Okay.
The zoning runs with the land, so you can
Right.
sell the
So
property.
if they sold it and they said, well, we want to put a grocery store here, it would have been no. Or
Correct.
they would have had to go through this process, basically, for a change of use.
But they'd have to go through rezoning. because
Rezoning.
It would not even
Right.
be a use that was allowed.
Right, so, and then same thing, so for the air conditioning HVAC company that's on the other side, that,
Are they 110 or 114?
I think that's 110 maybe.
110, so
they
that
operate-
is commercial, 110.
that's commercial,
Mhm.
so they're,
In
That
their
would be-
realm.
they don't change.
Right.
They can sell it and it can become any of those island commercial uses. And then, what's 114?
That's part of Folly.
That's part of Folly Inn.
That's right.
Okay,
It's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
two-
It's
two
two
lots.
lots, and they just have the whole thing. Okay,
Mhm.
all right, that makes sense. Okay, so, all right, that answers my question. So, okay, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay.
Okay, can we get a motion and a second to approve?
I move.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Norton,
No.
Mr. O'Connell,
No.
Ms. Mumford,
No.
Mr. Anderson,
No,
and Ms. Ray.
No.
The motion fails.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any other business?
Next month in April, Dr. Elko will be joining us. I think we're gonna move the time to 6 o'clock to do a work session. She's gonna explain the marsh management plan and the updates that she's currently working on to get us a new marsh management plan.
Good.
So that's April 7th, next month.
okay.
Okay, got
Okay?
it. Are there any staff comments or anything? No? Okay.
You did a
Motion
great
to-
job.
Thank you for
A
watching.
motion
Thank
to
you.
adjourn.
All right.
That's my job.
Gavel.